and welcome to F1 Rolling Start Podcast. Welcome to the most exciting race recap of the year, the Monaco Grand Prix.
Jewel in the crown.
They say, the jewel in the crown, and the single most boring race to watch every single year.
Here's my question. Hello, folks. If there was a competition that you knew every single year, there's going to be no drama, there's going to be no action, there's going to be really no unpredictability. How do you continue to call it the jewel in the crown? How does that name apply?
The prestige. Yes, I know that there's not much good racing here, but you have to remember that it takes a lot for a driver to be able to go around this track and keep focused for 74.
It takes a lot
laps.
for us to keep focused.
Exactly. I don't watch this race to look at how focused they are. I want to see overtakes. I want to see strategy. And even the strategy of Monaco was robbed from us because of the most colossal crash. Thanks to
it was unreal.
Thanks to the wonderful K-Mag, who has bringing all of the entertainment this season.
That was the only
it was wild
action the entire race, and all the teams are like, "Oh, switch compounds. We don't have to pit. This is great." On lap one,
literally,
and then they're like, "Yeah, we can run 73 laps without pitting," because
and they did. They rolled into the pits, and everyone was flipping Oprah Winfrey, you get a new tire, and you get a new tire, and you get a new tire. And all of a sudden, everyone's on brand new tires. It's lap 2, and they're like, well, if we pit,
we're going to lose.
We're going to lose that position. So let's run the entire race at literally what Max said was, I was at half throttle most of the race. So not only were they not the fastest cars in the world, I might as well have been watching the flippin' F1 Academy race. They were going so slow.
Ted on his pod was talking about how, the average speed around Monaco is 105 miles an hour. And I thought he was joking for a second. I'm like, wait a second. That's half. Less than half. Than how fast these cars can go.
Yes, they go 200 miles an hour.
Watching them at 50%.
Yes.
And he had to have been joking because Ted is nothing if not.
Ted is a troll when it comes to Monaco.
Oh, yeah. So, he was just playing it up because I was like, I don't want to watch these cars go at 50% for a couple hours. Yeah. So, anyway, it was
a snooze fest. The top 10 that qualified in top 10 finished in the top 10 on Sunday. The race was over on Saturday.
Yeah.
That's when it ended, is during qualifying. And qualifying was exhilarating. I actually loved qualifying.
No, qualifying was fantastic. I wish they would just say, we're going to do, we're going to do a sprint, and that's it at Monaco.
Hamilton said that would be the one way to spice up the Monaco weekend was let's do a sprint. Because you don't have any time to dial the cars in.
Perfect.
You get what you get. Perfect. You qualify where you qualify, and there's more at play. Yeah. There's more points over the weekend.
That is absolutely 100%. How to make this better.
I will say, look, Ben and I are F1 nerds. So we watch free practice. We watch all of the interviews, everything that you can get our hands on
a weekend.
Content. And our wives love it. And thank you, Kirsten and Haley.
Yes.
And you say, dude, FP1 from the jump, drivers were out there and they were going for it, kissing the rails. There was this one camera that they had on top of, I think it was Piastri's car. And it's this gyro camera that they've got this year. And so basically when it goes around a corner, it dips to stabilize. And I actually could not comprehend driving a car that fast around a city like that. Yeah. It is crazy.
I mean, the F1 crew was talking about how former race drivers will go to Monaco and they'll watch the race for the first time as a fan, as opposed to a race driver, and they'll lose their minds because it's a different way of viewing it, and they don't realize how razor thin margins there are. So Monaco, it is like old world meets new.
Yes.
And those two things living in the same ecosystem is actually really kind of exciting. But the problem is it's not wide enough. It's never been wide enough.
Nope.
For decades.
Unless you're Kevin Magnussen. And then you go, oh, Monaco, we can go 3 cars wide.
God. Checo's like, he's not going to actually.
He's not going to actually come
He
up.
he's like, no, he's going to back off,
not
right?
doing this,
No,
right?
he's not going to back off.
Oh,
the Viking is not going to back off.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Crappy race, boring as all get out. We get that. Okay. The drivers even said it themselves. Something needs to change. But some great things came out of this weekend. Leclerc got finally the Leclerc Monaco curse.
He was talking about his dad.
He was talking about his dad.
He's thinking about his dad.
He said he was coming through the tunnel and vision was blurry. He couldn't figure out why. It's because he was crying. And so it was incredible. Gets a win at his home country. The Prince of Monaco gives him a big hug, crying, just on the podium, pulls out his own bottle of champagne. I'm like, where'd you get that from, bro?
I'm like, why are
he's like
people doing this?
He's spraying, and then he like looks around and he's like, drinking champagne. It was awesome. So that was pretty cool. But what's better is that the gap between Leclerc and Verstappen is now a measly 31 points. But what's even better than that, Ben?
Is the gap between Red Bull and Ferrari is 24 points, I think.
The Red Bull Blues continue. I mean,
it's a legitimate championship.
Can we say that now?
It is. When you're
the clips of the first episode where we were like, it's a repeat of the whole season. Cut to the second episode. Nothing's ever going to change. Cut to the third episode. Max wins by 20 seconds. And now
it's insane.
24 points between Red Bull and Ferrari.
McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull, all with cars that can win, all with drivers that can win. Friggin' Oscar, if this was any other track,
he would have been on it, dude. He would have taken
it to Chuck. Now,
I don't know if he would have beat Chuck, but we would have seen some great racing.
We would have. And also, like, the difficult thing is that I do feel a bit cheated this weekend because we didn't see any strategy.
No.
There was no pitting. There was no strategy involved.
Both Mercedes drivers and Max started on the hard tires because they were hoping for a late safety car or an early safety car to get the strategy. But as soon as lap one was done, all the people that started on the mediums went to the hards and they're like, just finish the race on this. And Mercedes is like, crap. How am I supposed to finish the race on mediums?
Yeah.
Well, friends, now we know that we can do 77 laps at Monaco on a flipping pair of mediums thanks to boring Russell McGee, who took that Mercedes around the track. Yeah, I mean, I think we can finally say we have a championship.
We do.
Because you're going into Canada, and you're right. There's 6 drivers that could take pole position.
And we're realistically one race from things flipping. If Red Bull, doesn't score well, Ferrari does.
Yeah.
Ferrari's in front. And we're 8 races in now?
Yeah. I mean, if Checo has a bad weekend, if Max has a power unit failure,
it's happened.
It's done.
Well, I mean, brakes.
Something. If something goes wrong.
No, I mean, and this is what is actually really exciting is that McLaren, Ferrari, Red Bull, you've got drivers who finally have machinery that they can work with and really can showcase how good they are.
Yes.
And this is the thing, Oscar, dude, this is year 2.
Bro,
and this guy,
he's P2 at Monaco.
Guy is P2 at Monaco.
Not at Silverstone, not at Bahrain, or one of these tracks with wide open fields on either side of the corner. Monaco. Dude. The guy beat Lando Norris at Monaco. That is crazy.
This
guy, the dark horse.
He's going to be a world champion, and it will probably not take as long as it is going to take some of these other guys.
100%. I think we're going to see Oscar win a race this season.
Oh, yeah. Well, Oscar going into Monaco was like, hey, we can win.
Yes.
Like, we can actually win. And folks weren't rolling their eyes.
No.
They were like, no, I mean, y'all just came off Miami and then Italy, where Lando's hunting Max down 0.7 seconds at the end, going into Monaco. So this is the thing that's really, really exciting, is that not only is Ferrari 24 points behind Red Bull, McLaren now has been 3 races where, like, oh yeah, of course, you guys are guys are contending for wins
right there.
So that is the gift that F1 has given us this year.
Yeah,
and I don't know. Here's a question: why are we now at this place where 8 races in, we have a championship. Like, what actually got us to this point? Is it Red Bull just falling to pieces? Is it Ferrari, McLaren actually stepping up and remaining consistent? Like,
no.
Because again, at the beginning, Red Bull, we were like, dude,
they did it again.
Their new car is even faster.
Yes.
There's an even bigger gap.
It is. But it's massively faster.
But that's the thing is, why now are we like, pump the brakes? We've got a fight on our hands. Like, what are the factors? Is it just folks developing? What's going on?
I truly believe Red Bull's at the top of the development curve. There's not much more they can get out of this platform of car. They have Adrian Newey-ified that Red Bull to the highest level.
Yeah.
So you have cars coming out with and they're able to pivot in such a way where they're able to copy the side pod designs that Red Bull has now, or move towards that. We see that with Ferrari. You have teams like McLaren that developed so well last year, Ferrari that developed so well last year, and they're just building upon great performance. And this is the second to last year with these regulations. What more can Red Bull do? They said it themselves. When we bring an upgrade, it's like we're getting marginal amounts of performance.
Yeah.
If we do, there's always the risk that you don't.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's that Red Bull's falling apart. I think it's that Red Bull was so far ahead for so long. And now everyone is like, this is at the end of the day, the most cutthroat, intensive, push to the limit sport. And that includes the engineers. That includes the people back home.
Yeah.
Unless you're Mercedes.
We haven't spoken their name once yet. And we're already 12 minutes in.
We can put Mercedes and Alpine on the same little section of our show notes from now on. I mean, I
think you're right. Something Lando said this weekend that I thought was actually really interesting. There was a question around like, hey, are you guys taking it to Red Bull? Are you guys, fighting? And he's like, well, listen, like, we've been fighting with other teams.
Yeah.
Red Bull actually hasn't been fighting for the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's a good point.
They've just been so far out in front. There's like, they don't know how to fight. I say that with a grain of salt because I'm a Red Bull fan. I'm a Max fan. When Lando was hunting him down, Max was like, okay, I'm going to, use my billion wins I've had over the last couple of years to like stay ahead. So when push comes to shove, there is that ability. But as a team,
as a
team, when you're out so far and now all of a sudden everyone's bunched up on you in your review or quite frankly, ahead of you.
Yes.
That's where I think we're seeing that team sport come into play. And McLaren's been fighting as a team. Ferrari's been fighting as a team.
Yes.
Red Bull now needs to learn how to fight again.
Yeah.
Because everyone's right there.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Okay, so Monaco, I mean, how do we recap this race?
Well, let's just dive into lap one.
Okay, Monaco mayhem.
Haas, Mag. What was it? What term was that? Was that honestly like the second?
It was corner. Yeah,
it was past corner,
corner one, and then it was into the second corner.
Yeah.
So Perez. Well, I mean, Perez had kind of a crap weekend to begin with. Okay, number one, he was out qualified by Logan Sargent in a Williams.
There's real no excuse for that.
That's it.
Yeah, there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that.
Checo, what are you doing? You're making it hard for me to want you to win, bro.
And he won Monaco.
He's won Monaco before. Yeah.
He's won Monaco.
Right after he locked in this year's seed, he won Monaco. Okay, so Perez's weekend went from bad to worse.
Yes.
So Q1, he gets eliminated. Worst case scenario in Monaco is a Q1. He then crashes because Magnussen decides to go 3 wide on the tightest grid.
Stuck that front left.
Right behind. Right on the
back right.
On Perez's back right, clips Perez. Perez goes in like he I felt like I was watching Cops. You know when they do like the pit maneuver, they like tip the back of the car because all of a sudden Perez is coming around the corner and he's sideways.
Yep.
And Magnussen is just T-boning the mess out of him.
His car was obliterated.
It looked like a crumpled mess.
It was just a cockpit. Everything was shaved off.
Yes, it looked like Anakin Skywalker's pod racer from episode 1.
Yes.
Like it was just this tiny little thing. The wheels were tucked up underneath it. It was wild.
Yeah, it was toast.
And in that, Hulkenberg tries to he sees it happen, and he hesitates for a second and then guns it and tries to get past him. Because it's Monaco lap 1. If you don't take any chance you get. That split second was just enough time for Perez to come back and knock Hulk. And so Hulk spins out. He crashes too.
Yeah,
so 3.
The mag goes up on Hulk.
Yes.
Or it pushes Hulk up on him.
It was a whole mess.
Yeah,
it was a mess. It was destroyed. At the end, Magnussen doesn't get any points or anything from
so he's currently at 10. If he were to get 12 penalty points, I'm sure this
he skips a race.
Skips a race.
Correct.
I don't know what the rationale was behind not giving him.
They're very lenient on lap 1 of any race, and we've seen that throughout. I mean, Perez he can't talk because the only difference between what happened today and what happened in the previous race is that he didn't T-bone Sainz because Sainz got out of the way. Remember when he went steaming into corner 1?
He almost took out Max.
Literally, it was like, dude, you are the luckiest person alive.
Yeah.
If he was in Vegas, he should have gone into the MGM and put it all in black because that was nuts that he didn't cause something crazy there. But yeah, he didn't get anything, but he did take out his teammate.
Mm-hmm.
He took out Checo. So Checo's weekend got worse.
Yep.
And because of that, they red flagged the session and everyone went. But here's what happened.
Mm.
So Leclerc starts in P1. You've got Oscar in P2, and you've got Sainz in P3. And Sainz goes and gets a puncture.
Yeah.
Before any of this Monaco meltdown happens.
Oh, absolutely.
Doesn't realize he has a puncture until he goes to turn right.
Can't turn.
And can't turn.
Yeah.
Goes straight on. And we think Sainz is done for the weekend.
Yeah, he's done.
Because in Monaco, there's no coming back from that.
No.
In any race, there's no coming back from that. And especially in Monaco. But then, because the crash that K-Mag did happened before all of the cars passed the Sector 1 timer,
yes,
they restarted the race as the starting grid.
Yes. Teddy was talking about how he's like, when someone gets a opportunity to go back and, redo a mistake that they made, and just say, oh, if I could just have that was, 5 minutes back, I'd do it all different again. He's like, well, that's what Sainz has. He's walking around as if he's been reborn.
I hope Ted sees your impersonation of him at least once.
God, it'd be great.
We love you.
So much stuff. But no, I mean, Sainz gets a second life and then delivers.
Yeah. Okay. But that's not the end of the Monaco meltdown.
No.
So
are you talking about Alpine a little bit later on?
Oh, we're talking about Alpine right now. So
right before the tunnel.
So Alpine goes into the weekend. We've got Gasly P10. We've got Ocon P11. There's agreement within the team that Ocon will support Gasly so that the team gets some points. Because at Monaco, it is, again, almost impossible to overtake. And when your teammate is ahead of you, the likelihood of you making contact with someone when you overtake is like 100% at Monaco. So we have him getting all Ocon-y and getting all, I mean, I don't know how else to describe it, but Ocon-y. He just goes full Ocon and tries to go and take the place from Gasly and just
like one of the worst corners to do it.
On the worst corner, dude.
In the first lap.
Yes. Before the crash happens behind them and literally flicks.
He just goes
up into the air, dude. Destroys his own front suspension. Like his car's done.
Yeah.
It looked like both Alpines were done.
Yeah.
Gasly comes on the radio and he's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like, how is this happening whatsoever?
Yeah.
Bruno Famin is like livid.
Oh, yeah.
He's losing it.
Which last year in Monaco, Ocon was on the podium.
He's P3.
And Bruno was like, dude.
You are the chosen. You are the chosen one.
Not this year.
Not this year.
Not this year.
This year, I mean, Ted thinks, Ted thinks that Bruno is so pissed that he's going to put Jack Doohan in the car next race.
Their reserve driver,
who's awesome and Australian. And he is going to race in place of Ocon because of it just was unacceptable.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing. We mentioned this before we jumped on. I'm fine with that. I kind of think that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, F1, these guys, I'm not going to say they're untouchable because people lose their seats all the time. But while they're in the seat, it's kind of like they're untouchable. Whereas in every other sport, it's like, hey, get on the bench. You sucked.
100%.
You didn't perform, so go sit.
100%.
We're going to put someone else in at your position, and they're going to do better. I'm like, these teams have reserve drivers. Like, why the heck haven't we said, hey, Sarge, take a seat.
Yeah.
We're getting someone else in the seat because you clearly can't perform 100%. Right now. So I'm a little surprised why F1 isn't more open to doing that. And I'm completely supportive, saying, hey, we've got a reserve driver for a reason.
Yeah.
He's not just going to race on the sim. You blew it.
Yeah.
Cool off.
Like if I were the team principal at Haas, I'd be looking at K-Mac going, dude, you knew you were never going to pull that off.
Yeah.
You took out a Red Bull. You destroyed 2 of our cars.
Absolutely.
We're already a team that can't afford to have both of our cars
now
done.
Williams has 2 points.
Now Williams has 2 points. They're catching us.
And now they're going to start catching us.
We weren't going to get any points, but now you made everyone else have a greater opportunity to get their own.
Not to mention the damage caused to the cars.
Oh my gosh. A ton. And I get, okay.
Yeah.
Ollie's in next week. I don't know who their reserve driver is. I think they share one with Ferrari.
Honestly. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like this is one of those things where I'm like, I am an advocate for more of that, where it's, hey, you're not performing, or hey, you made a mistake that's really just unexcusable. Take a week off.
100%.
So that was still lap 1.
We're literally still in a
science puncture.
And just so you know, this is the most things that happen within this whole race.
You could have turned it off.
Be lapped.
Turned it off after lap 1 and the restart. It was like it was what, 30 minutes of red flag at least, if not longer, where they had to clean everything up. I was like, I could have just fast forward to the end and be like, oh, we're the same order. Everyone says, okay, cool.
You know what I loved though is that I was watching the Sky Sports, of course, and it was also, Crofty. Thank God, Crofty, you were back. Never leave again. No. You're not allowed to take vacations. You chain yourself to that chair, and your family doesn't matter. You can have them after the fact.
Crofty,
you make this sport what it is. And Martin Brundle. And I love those two together because Martin Brundle, to me, he's a sassy little minx. He is he is the antithesis of Crofty, because Crofty's like polished, like super politically like correct, like very neutral, and also like over dramatic. Mm-hmm. Like he's over dramatic. So the race stops, and he's now as a commentator looking at, okay, I'm already commentating on a race where no one's going to overtake anyone.
Yes.
And now I've got to talk about a race that's had exactly 30 seconds of running for the next 45 minutes of this red flag. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to elongate everything out as he starts going. And now the biggest question is, are we going to, and he's like talking so slow, and he's like, are we going to restart the race in the starting grid? And you can tell he's like building it up, and as he goes in the starting grid, Martin Brundle just goes, yes. Just goes, yes,
of course.
Just ignores him,
of course.
Still does his whole little monologue, and at the end Martin goes, yeah, I think there's no timing, I think we're going to start it again.
Just the producers in the ear, Martin, come on, be quiet.
Martin and Nico Rosberg are my favorite commentators because they're both sassy little minxes.
No, they're incredible. Yeah, no, it was great to have Crofty back. Really one of the highlights of the weekend. Besides, again, so there was the first lap where we had puncture signs.
Yes.
Haas taking out Red Bull. Well,
Sergio hitting more walls than a ping pong machine
into each other.
Yes.
And then when we restart, it's essentially just the restart all the way through to the end. Nothing really happens. But again, the significance, and we did talk about this at the beginning, is Chuck winning his home race.
Yep.
And Ferrari pulling close to Red Bull and actually making this a competitive championship at this point in the season.
Yeah.
Like, for as boring as the race is, that's a turning point. That's actually really significant for this season, I think.
Yeah.
Because Chuck hasn't won a race this season yet.
No.
And he didn't win a race last year.
And this is his 5th race win. It's not like Chuck is like some prolific race winner.
We think of him that way because he's got on pole what?
Oh, he's a pole winner for
he's
sure.
A pole winner.
I mean, the guy's got to be heading towards it. No, exactly.
He can't convert it. So we're always like, oh, this guy's a pole winner. He's got it incredibly fast. But no, five race wins. But no, I don't know the last time that he won because he didn't win it all last season.
No, not at all. I think it was the year, maybe Australia. No. Was it Australia 2022?
2022 is when he won because 2023 was obviously the lockout and Sainz.
2022 is when he was leading the championship. Yeah.
The strategy killed him.
Man. So it was mayhem. It was wild. Christian Horner is, I think what did he say? He said, Red Bull Plus calls the incident not very clever. Translation, dumb as hell.
Even Wolf was gracious. As soon as he realized what happened, he's like, oh, damn. He's like, that wasn't smart. He's like, no, come on, man.
Well, think about the implications for Red Bull. We're in a cost cap era.
Yeah.
They've got to develop this car because the field is catching them.
Really
and now he's looking at a written off car.
Oh, yeah. You got
millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of damage.
Oh, my God.
Like, that thing is done.
You just take that and you drop it in the Mediterranean, and then you go back and
put it in the Med. You just drop it in the Med, and you're done
for your holiday.
The Med. Yeah.
He means the Mediterranean. Okay.
It was pretty amazing that, like, Perez has this flippin' Michael Bay movie style crash and just gets out of the car and walks away. Like, we don't need to make these cars any safer.
I mean, it was pretty incredible that these guys, I mean, do you remember when Stroll crashed in Singapore?
That was wild.
The impact
that was wild
on that wall. And you're like, this guy's gone. He's done. And then he gets out. You're like, and then Teddy's talking about, well, he's like, the impact, the cars are built to actually absorb all that energy and protect the drivers. And you're like, this is insane.
This is nuts. Dude, remember when Guan Yu Zhou like flipped it, did a somersault and looked like a tabletop spinner?
And then he's running over there. He gets disqualified because he left his car.
And I respect him for that.
Oh, my God.
My guy.
What a man.
What a guy. Let's talk about Mercedes, though, because you're getting a phone call.
I was getting a phone call.
That was embarrassing.
I know, right?
We'll cut it out in post. We don't have post.
We don't have post. We don't have the money for post.
We don't have the money, or we care about post.
We don't get money.
Okay, so George Russell, he played roadblock for Verstappen all race.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the best defensive driving we've seen since our last Uber drive. And
I mean, it's the best defensive driving because the track itself is the defender. The track itself is designed to ensure that the person behind you will never be able to pass you.
Yeah. Hamilton came, saw, pitted, left.
Yeah, I mean,
the race was as thrilling as a trip to the DMV for Hamilton.
Dude.
he got screwed by his team. Like, Mercedes' strategy in Monaco is like the 3 a.m. text you send to your ex-girlfriend, and you wake up in the morning, you're like, man, I really regret sending that message.
Oh my gosh.
You know, all these new hires they got, I finally figured out who they hired.
Wait, Merc? Who?
Ferrari's strategy team from last year. Like, it was so bad. They lost a place for no reason. I mean, Horner was like, they gave us that place.
Yeah.
They gave it up. Like, they gave up halfway through the race. Mercedes' strategy is like, they shook a magic 8 ball.
Here's a question on Hammy. I'm making a bit of a left turn, but still staying on the track.
Hey, wow.
Should he
that was nice.
Just waited a little bit longer to announce he was leaving to Ferrari? This is a long season.
Yeah.
He has a long time to
I mean, but with Ferrari won him after the season he's had right now?
Well, I think.
And how long can you really keep a secret that big? Lewis Hamilton is a superstar.
No, I mean, when you think about it,
he's crazy.
Global superstar.
Yes.
I mean, absolutely.
Literally.
there's a superstars, then there's like the goats.
Yes.
The global goats.
He's up there.
He's global goat.
Yes. The guy has Michelle Obama visit him on a race weekend.
Didn't Lando have Trump visit him?
And he won. Okay.
I know.
You got the Mar-a-Lago blessing.
Couple of Trump just is like a T.
Couple of secret documents.
I bless you. I bless you.
With my Trump tea. Do you need a ride back to the Britain? Okay, I give you a ride back. No. Trump jet, pure gold, mahogany everywhere. McDonald's on deck.
But here's the thing, though. Hammy, he's got, the whole point of the season was it's a victory lap with Mercedes. Let's go out on a bang. Let's go out on a high note. Yeah. That he's nowhere near what he was talking about or what the team was talking about before the season.
I will say this. They looked really promising in FP1 too. They dropped off a little in 3, and then obviously qualifying, they ended up where they are. And I just think where they are is 5th and 6th. 5th and 6th. 5th and 6th. 5th
really
and 6th.
Sucks.
Yeah. And if they don't develop more, they won't be in 5th and 6th anymore.
They'll be in 7th and 8th because
correct.
They've got Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren 1 to 6 now.
Yes, exactly. I will say this weekend they looked like had they cooked it up well enough, they could have been competitive. But it's Monaco. Like, you don't really know. They have to. It's pretty much like a whole different car. Okay, Ferrari. Chuck wins. Great. Love that. Great job, Chuck. You did it. Congrats. You and your dad worked so hard.
That was worth the price of admission.
It was beautiful.
Just to see him win in his hometown. It means so much to him. It meant so much to, the Prince and all the folks in Monaco.
Yes.
It's phenomenal.
Apparently there's a rager going on right now.
I mean, still going on, I'm sure.
100% in Monaco. Carlos Sainz, man, the guy played wingman perfectly.
Yeah.
Like a pro. Ferrari actually looked like they knew what they were doing. Freddie V came in and he said, I'm going to tighten up this team.
Dude.
We're going to get back to the fundamentals. You know what it reminds me of is the Spurs. Remember the Spurs when they were dominating?
Yes.
And it wasn't because of a specific player. It was because they just nailed the fundamentals.
I know, because they beat the Cavs, Cleveland Cavs, at LeBron's first finals appearance. It was, I think they swept them 4-0.
It was because they were on a run. And it was the craziest thing because everyone was like, you don't have anyone.
No.
Like, this is Kobe era.
They have everyone, though.
Exactly. And so that's what Ferrari's doing right now. They are nailing it week in and week out.
Dude,
like a well-oiled machine.
Look how excited I cannot believe I'm saying this.
I love
it. Ferrari has every chance to win this year.
100%.
The constructors, at least the constructors, potentially the drivers.
Chuck could do it.
Chuck, this could be Carlos. The year.
If Carlos and Chuck continue, they'll be up there.
Imagine Carlos winning the championship
and then leaving. What? You can't write that storyline. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay. Aston Martin. What a crap weekend. Okay. Fernando Alonso. He was slow.
Yeah.
Drove like he had all the time in the world. Ended up just outside of the points. It was total snooze fest.
Yeah.
Lance Stroll spun out, lost a tire, finished 14th.
Plus 2 laps.
Yeah. Dad's company's credit card's getting a workout again this weekend on the damage. But other than that, he went to Monaco. He was like, my dad brings me here for a vacation all the time. I love this place. That's my yacht over there with the Bugatti sitting on it. So anyway, Aston Martin, as per usual this season, has just dropped everything, and it's sad. I'm like, man, I want you fighting up there.
Not going to happen.
Remember when they were better than McLaren?
I do.
Remember when they were better than Ferrari?
I mean,
they were better than Mercedes. They were nailing it. It was bonkers.
And this is the insane thing: is you have to appreciate the moment you're in when you're in it.
Yeah.
Last season when Alonso is getting P2, P2, P2,
down
P3.
Checo.
I mean,
over the line in a car that's so much slower.
That was an incredible moment in time. Now, there's the chance Aston turns it around
100%.
when it comes on board, and they actually
they got all the money in the world too.
They can do that, but that was special. And this year, again, their Mercedes has half the points of McLaren. Aston has half the points of Mercedes. Like they're solidly in 5th place. As a team, and there's really no sign that they're gonna change their fortunes at this point.
No. And we will wait to see. They're just kind of a bit of a letdown. They're kind of getting in that phase of like that. They're the people that you forget over the course of the weekend. And the only reason why you remember them is because they have the name Fernando Alonso right now.
Yeah.
Williams, Alex Albon gets points. That's not a mistake.
2 points.
You hear it correctly. Alex Albon scored points. Points for Williams. Miracles happen, folks.
It's a big deal because at this point, they had 0 points the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
They were the back of the grid. Haas was ahead of them. Haas is still ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
Now they are finally in a point. Well, actually, at this point, it's Williams and Alpine. Are both.
Which is crazy.
2 points.
Because it was Williams and Alpine, except they were towards the middle of the field, not the back.
Yeah, unreal. I mean, I don't know what there's more to say besides Williams got a couple points.
I mean, Williams got a couple points. Logan spent the entire race looking at the back of the cars. The Monaco, again, like we said, you can't get overtaken at Monaco unless you're Logan Sargent. You get overtaken.
And Stroll overtook him.
Got overtaken by Stroll and Bottas. Oh my gosh, Logan.
Logan is the X factor.
I need him ready to come to the field just so we can have an American driver that I can be proud of. I just want a one-time. Imagine a race win and just belting out the Star Spangled Banner. We have the greatest.
We have a good
anthem in the history of the
world.
world.
Offense, Monaco.
It blew.
No bueno. And they always have a live band.
Your flag's boring. It's just half red, half white. What's up with that?
It's
you need some stars. You need some red. You need some white. You need a flipping Star Spangled Banner that's flying over the ramparts. Until you can defeat England, you have no place. Okay. Anyway,
I mean, Williams. The Star Spangled Banner would be phenomenal. I don't think
it's not going to happen with Logan.
It's not going to happen.
But I need an American driver. Okay, Alpine. We already talked about the crazy crash at the beginning. Pierre managed to pick up points despite his teammate trying to turn him into an airborne spectacle.
Seriously.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean.
You know what it reminded me of when Ocon went for, have you ever seen like the Fast and the Furious movie where they had the flip car thing?
Where they, there's like 17 of those, so I've seen
there was like one of them where they would like drive this car and it looked and sounded like an F1 car, and it would like, it was so flat and pointy, it would like flip cars, and they would like flip cars as they drove by. That's what
Alpine was doing
to itself. I thought Esteban was trying to just give Pierre the option for a nice swim.
No,
but no, that didn't happen. Team strategy with them. The strategy, according to Gasly, was that Ocon should have been giving him support. I think there's pressure here on Ocon for his future. I think there's pressure here for Gasly on their future. I think that's why we're seeing things like this. Ocon came onto Twitter and said it was completely my fault. And
which good on him.
Yeah,
whether
great.
That was him doing it of his own volition or the team saying you're going to do this.
Yeah.
But still, good on him.
His Twitter mea culpa was, very beautiful and well written by his PR person.
Yes.
I just think, Gasly couldn't believe his teammate pulled off this boneheaded move.
Him over the radio, it was astounded.
He said it's very unnecessary. It's sad. And he emphasized that it could have trashed both of their races for no reason. And he's right that he was not going to overtake him.
Yeah. Do you think Monaco pushes drivers to make some of these insane decisions because of the way the track's set up and how hard it is to pass? Because there were some pretty stupid decisions folks made.
Yeah, but
that normally they don't make.
Maybe that's just a lack of self-control for some of them. But Sainz said even when in the post press conference, he was like, there were a few opportunities where I could have gone for a late break out of the tunnel to try to overtake Piastri, but at Monaco, it always ends in contact. and it's not worth the risk.
Yeah.
And so my thing is that we need to, again, I feel like I'm like a broken record. We need to change the course. We need to fix that issue.
We do. Yeah.
Even if, okay, so you know how I said the whole Joker lap thing?
You did.
You inspired me because the pool chicane where they come out of the tunnel and they do that dip. What if you had to do that, but only every 5th lap?
Yes.
And so the other laps, you just straight through. It caused a lot of accidents now that I think about it. But because how do you control the car that's like trying to merge back in? Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Create a line. They don't cross those, like the magical pit lane line.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's a way to make this better. We're skipping Haas because, we totally talked about it. Alfa Romeo, I mean, it was...
What?
Whatever.
Kick. I mean,
yeah. Bottas drove around like it was a Sunday cruise, finished 13th. Whippy. Zhou stayed out of trouble, but didn't do much else. Finished the day and picks P16. So 0 points for... I called them Alfa Romeo. Kick Sauber, Audi, whatever you want to call yourself. Until you do something, you're not worth talking about.
True.
We skipped over AlphaTauri. Yuki. Again.
Listen, these guys, they're no fluke, as someone would say. They RB.
Sorry, no. V-carb.
V-carb.
You have to
F1,
give
it says RB Honda.
No, you have to give respect to Visa Cash App Racing Bulls.
Visa has way too much money.
Not enough.
Way too much publicity.
They have too much of my money.
They have too much. They've got 24 points at this point.
They're crushing.
Last year they had 25 points.
Mm-hmm.
They have 24 at this point of the season. They're 6th place. At this point, they're gonna challenge Aston. Aston's got 20 more points than them. But again, Aston's not doing as well as they did last year. So these guys are firmly in 6th place. Haas is behind with 7 points. Yuki's doing his thing. Like, he's actually pulling it out. He's performing at a really high level. He was 8th this race. The last several races, he's performed really well. I mean, at this point, he has scored in 6 races.
Yeah. So we've got Yuki with 19 points. Danny Rick with 5. Danny Rick got exactly 0 points this weekend, which, by the way, he's a former Monaco winner.
I know.
Which is wild. And and the talk is that Yuki's not going to have a seat next season.
That's insane.
That's crazy to me.
That's insane. If we got people like, Lance Stroll, who's got a seat. If we got people like Logan Sargent, who's got a seat.
Kirsten told me I have to give Lance Stroll a break.
Your wife told you we have to give Lance Stroll a break.
Not because she believes that he needs a break, just because I talk about him too much. Because he makes me so mad.
We should, and I respect everything your wife's telling you, because what your wife tells you is probably what you should do. We can't not talk about this guy.
He's the elephant in the room.
When you're going to make me get real mad. You're going to make me get real mad. If I had Josh, I whip him off right now. When Oscar Flippin' Piastri in his 2nd year is getting P2 at Monaco, and your butt has been an F1 at this point, it's been a decade?
Almost a decade. And
you are nowhere, and you've been nowhere.
You've been nowhere. No, you're capped out. You're top of the midfield driver.
You are not improving.
No.
And you're not going to improve. There is no potential. There is no promise. When someone comes in their first year and they're dominant, won a freaking sprint race last year, Oscar,
100%.
comes in this year and is fighting for wins, and you're like on your dad's yacht in the harbor, drinking a lemonade, watching the race take place because you're barely in it. Like, it's so infuriating.
It's embarrassing.
It's a shame.
It is a shame.
It's a shame.
Because we were looking at Yuki Tsunoda and they think he might sit out next year, but then come back.
God, no.
And I'm like, dude, this guy deserves a seat. He is on fire right now. He's
turned it on.
He is performing week in. He's doing everything that the team is asking of the drivers, and he's the only one that's actually doing it when it comes down to it. Push and shove. The only
races he's not scored in is China and Bahrain.
Yeah.
That guy has scored in every other race this year.
And when it was China, it was because he was protesting communism.
That's why. That's why he didn't win.
Oh, McLaren. I mean, Oscar is, okay. So here's the thing about Oscar. I think he's the next, I had this epiphany this afternoon while I was driving home. I think he's the next Niki Lauda. I think we're looking at a driver who is so chill, so understated, so reserved. Like he's not, you don't ever see him driving his Lamborghini out of the Monaco like casino. You see him like picking water bottles off of the beach and like helping save the Great Barrier Reef in Australia. He's so chill. He's like got the high school sweetheart. It's like he's not about that F1 life. He's just about driving fast. And Niki Lauda was like super calculated, super not the like F1 bad boy, the whole thing. And it's like a field full of like James Hunts. You've got like all the bad boys up there doing their thing. They look really good. Like, I have a thing for George.
I know you do.
And then you've got Oscar, who's just nailing it week in and week out. Yeah. And I think he's going to I think he'll be a world champion. I think he might be a world champion before Lando.
Wow.
And that takes a lot for me to say because I'm a mad Lando fan.
Yeah.
But he's just so good.
Dude, the guy, he's humble, but has just such incredible confidence.
Yeah.
It's possible to have both those things. And I think he's so in tune with himself.
Yes.
He's so in tune with what he's capable of. He's so in tune with what the car is able to provide to him. Yeah.
And that's a key factor. He's in the right place, McLaren, at the right time now.
Right at the beginning of his career.
Yeah. Lando's been at McLaren forever. And they've had crap or marginally good cars.
Yeah.
They have an excellent car now.
They have a phenomenal car. They've got phenomenal drivers. They're floored. They locked him in before all these seats went open.
Yes.
And there is no reason why McLaren and those drivers aren't winning races where they already started and contending for championships. Maybe not this year, potentially this year, but next year and beyond.
Yeah. I really do think he's the person to watch. And I do seriously believe that he will get his first win this season. And when he gets his first win, if McLaren comes out again next year with a powerful car like they have now, I think we could be looking at him really taking the fight to the front of the field. Man, he has had some really bad luck this season. And had he not had that bad luck, he'd be way further up in the drivers.
Yes.
And I get it. You're only that everyone has the same luck. Everyone's at the same races, dealing with the same things. So I understand that. But if he switches on,
dude,
and he was on fire in Monaco, it was crazy.
And again, this is where I will say this about Stroll. I was going to give him a break and say it's not fair to compare him to Oscar. No, if you're in F1,
you're compared to everyone else.
You're compared to everyone else.
Yeah.
Sargent is compared to Oscar. Stroll is compared to Oscar.
100%. They all are.
They're all compared to each other because they're the only ones who you can compare.
You should be better. You should be better than him. If you've been on the field for 10 years, that alone should dictate that you should be better. Who else has been on the field that long? Checo hasn't been on there that long, but he's been on there for a while.
He's been there for a minute.
You've got Fernando. Okay. Oh, world champion. You've got
Nico's been there for a minute.
Lewis. Oh, world champion. You've got Max. Oh, world champion. You've got Carlos. Oh, a 3-time race winner. You've got Chuck. Oh, 5-time race winner.
Yep.
And then you've got Lance.
Has he had a podium?
Amex Black holder. Yeah, he's had a podium.
I think he's had one.
Yeah, I don't know how many he's had.
I think it was like his first year.
I think it was with his. No, I don't think it was his first year because his first year was with Williams, and that was in their faith. His first podium, I think, was with Force India when it was the pink car with Almar.
Yeah.
I think it was when they basically copied the previous year of Mercedes. Remember that?
I do remember that. The pink Mercedes.
They ripped.
The pink Mercedes. They're like, wait, is plagiarism allowed? Oh, and F1 plagiarism is allowed. Okay, cool.
They ripped. It was so good. But anyway, that was a very long time ago. Okay, we have Canada coming up, which is super exciting because I think we are literally looking at a race where we don't know if it's going to be Red Bull, Ferrari, or McLaren. It could be all 6 of them could be up there.
Yep.
I think one note is that consistency is not on Red Bull's side.
No.
For whatever reason, Checo is just not as consistent as the other pairings. Max is in a word, I think, I don't know who said this, metronomic.
Yeah.
Like he is just a metronome. Like just.
The car hasn't been though.
No. But he somehow forces it to be.
He is. But he's having to.
Around Monaco.
He's having to wrangle that car more than he has in the past.
So we're seeing now where man and machine are really coming together for Red Bull, but Checo's not able to quite be man enough to handle the machine. And so it's going to be an interesting shootout, but we've also got a ton of open seats. So
we do.
Hammy kicked off the season with an way early Ferrari announcement. So Ferrari's locked for next season. We've got Ferrari with Chuck and Hammy. Great. Done.
You know who else is locked? Aston.
Not technically, Ben.
Should they be locked? Hell
Houston.
No. Hell no.
We're going to talk about Lance Stroll again.
They're locked for, into eternity because as long as Stroll wants that seat, they're locked, dude. There's no way.
No, they're locked.
No way.
Stroll, he'll be here.
So Ferrari's off the table. Aston's off the table.
Aston's off the table. McLaren's off the table.
Yeah,
Both those drivers are locked. Now, where we do have open seats is we have open seats at Red Bull. Checo is not in contract. And every week we're talking about whether or not Max is going to drive for them. I don't
it's not
understand
just us, plebeians here in America talking about it. It's everyone in F1 saying, hey, guys, we think he's got a clause. He might have, a Helmut Marko clause. He might have an Adrian Newey clause. Who knows? We're still talking about it. So it's not locked.
We've got an open seat at Mercedes because obviously Hamilton left. We've got an open seat at Kick, soon to become Audi Works team, which will be very exciting, alongside Hulkenberg, who's locked in there. We've got an open seat at William. Sarge? Is he going to hold on for 3 years?
Dude, I think Sarge, he done this season. Like
he's done, dude. He might be done mid-season.
He's done mid-season. They're not gonna let him continue to bring it home in 18th and 19th.
Yeah.
They can't. Like,
let's start with Red Bull. Who do you think is going to take the Red Bull seat? Do you think Checo will retain it? Or do you think they'll wait?
I think Sainz, dude. Sainz.
Do you think Sainz will take the Red Bull seat? For the Audi seat.
Sainz has the ability to do what we're speculating he can do the rest of the season and actually pull it in. I honestly think Sainz and Max are a better pairing than Checo and Max. Okay. I think it's more compelling. I think it's more competitive. I think they're both able to push each other in a way that we haven't seen Checo push Max. We've seen him be dominated by Max, be subjugated by Max, which is a terrible word to use, but I don't know what else to use. Like Max has dominated him.
100%.
He has put him in his place.
100%.
This year, Checo's more like, okay, I'm the second driver. I get it. That's fine. Sainz ain't going to be that way.
Right.
If he went there, he'd be like, hell no. Like, well, let's go race. And maybe Max doesn't want that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. That's
there's nobody else.
Yeah, Sainz isn't going to come and be a pushover, though. That's for sure.
So is Red Bull willing to give him what Audi is put on the table? And we don't really know what that is. I mean, maybe not. But there's a reason they've not locked Checo in.
Okay, but let's talk about that reason. What do you feel like the reason they haven't locked Checo in is?
The ball's always in Checo's court. They've always said that. Like, hey, it's your destiny. I don't really feel like they as a team are like fully committed to Checo or really have been fully committed to him. The guy's having to prove himself again and again and again. Meanwhile, over in Aston Town, Stroll could just be obliterated.
We'll sleep back to Stroll.
Stroll doesn't. He just has the commitment and doesn't have to live on pins and needles.
Of a gnat.
And Checo, meanwhile, is like, why can't I get this team behind me? So I think
I just don't know if Red Bull's going to trade. I agree with you. I just don't know if Red Bull's. I think they're not. I think they're looking for consistency.
Sainz is pretty consistent.
Yes, pretty consistent.
Sainz has been pretty consistent.
But he has not been consistent. If anything, he's a little bit, in comparison to Chuck, a little bit off the rails.
Well, I mean, they're close to each other as far as
yes, but when you think back over the last 2-3 years, who's more like a roller coaster, Sainz or Chuck? And that's what they have in Checo right now. They never know when Checo's going to qualify P2 or P15.
My vote is still Sainz as the number one contender. Who else would take a second Red Bull seat?
Well, there was talk about Albon, but he's locked in at Williams now, so Albon, that's done.
We've been there. We tried that. It didn't work.
The idea was that Danny Rick would take it if he could perform. They're not going to give it to him. My thought is, do they take a risk and give it to Liam Lawson?
I mean, he performed well.
Really well.
Performed really well. I mean, you'd be going back to like, hey, we're going with someone new.
But it's 2025. Like, why not?
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to give Sainz the amount of years that he wants. Like, they're only going to give Sainz 2025 with a re-up possibility. And I think Sainz now is he can't just go into a team for a year. He can't pull.
No.
He can't be bouncing around.
He's
right
better
now.
than that.
He's better than that. And I think that's when Helmut Marko says we can't match them. It has nothing to do with money. It has something to do with time. I think Audi's like, yeah, we'll hold you till 2028. I think he's looking for a long contract through the new period of launching a car, through a new season and new regulations, new engine, all of that kind of stuff. So,
your vote is Sainz to Audi.
My vote is no. I don't know where Sainz is going to go. I don't have a place for Sainz, if I'm being honest.
Audi, there's talks, and this is a bit blasphemous almost and laughable, that he would be going to Williams. The only universe, and this is insane because Williams has been reported to be talking to Adrian Newey and talking to Sainz.
Well, everyone's talking to Sainz. You can't say just like he's been reported. Sainz is talking to everyone. But what's the difference between Williams?
There's still a chance.
And Audi?
Well,
if he's taking Audi seriously, why wouldn't he take Williams seriously? They've had a rough go of it. The beginning of the year. But their car is developable now. Last season, the only reason why they would have take those points is because it was crazy fast in a straight line.
Yeah.
The moment it tried to turn into a corner and there was any like resemblance of a sneeze from the grandstands, it was blown off of the track.
Yeah.
But this year, they've got a car that is balanced. It's just not fast. But if they can make it fast, then it'll be good. You can't get around Monaco with an unbalanced car in the top 10. Like it is a decent car. My thought is, does he go?
What about V-Carb?
That's where I'm thinking.
But Danny would go then.
Oh, Danny's got to go. I don't think Danny will have a seat next season.
There's no way you can say, Yuki, you've scored all of our points. You've got to go because we like Danny too much. At the end of the day,
I don't think it has much to do with Danny being liked much as how much Danny brings in from a monetary perspective. Danny is Stroll without a daddy. Danny brings in cash money.
Danny does bring in some cash.
He brings in some serious cash money. The guy is like a marketing catnip.
Hang on a second, though. His appeal, yes, he has charisma. But charisma is often attached to like performance.
I agree.
So when he was down, he was not Danny as we knew him. And people buy into charisma. They buy into personality.
Very true.
Money follows those two things. Those two things follow
That's winning. Why you and I have so much money.
Because we just don't stop winning. We never stop winning. No. So, I mean, people aren't going to follow some dude who's not winning.
No, I agree.
Therefore, has no charisma and personality. I love Danny. I'd love for him to start winning and start getting points again. But like, he's been inconsistent. He's been all over the place ever since he left Red Bull because he was running from a fight. You know, Horner's words. He's lost that edge. You know.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know where he goes. To be honest, I don't think Danny goes anywhere. I think Carlos is either going to go to Audi. It's a long run to do it. I think he would take Red Bull if they give him more than a year. They have to.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about, so Williams, open seat. They're in talks with, seriously, Kimi Antonelli. They've requested for an exception for his super license because he's young to be able to compete in Formula One. So we know that that's a serious request. We know that Williams and Mercedes they go hand in hand with their drivers. They work together in developing their drivers. Russell went to Williams, now drives at Mercedes. Ocon was at Williams, now drives for Alpine for now. He's a Mercedes driver. And so we could see him there. We know that Wolf is hot to trot for him. My thought is he goes to Mercedes since they're in no man's land, and I don't think they're going to be in a crazy competitive car. And I think they let him. One thing they learned with Russell is that they wish they had not kept him in Williams for so long because it took such an adjustment period from a small team to a big team for Russell. Mm-hmm. So I think they'll put him straight into the Mercedes seat. I think that's what we'll see next year from Mercedes. I think we'll see Kimi. I do think Ollie Behrman will go to Haas.
Yeah.
I think that's a shoo-in. They've got him practicing 6 sessions this season.
Yeah, he's going there.
He's going there.
Does Mag hold on to his seat?
I don't think Magnussen does. I think Magnussen's out. I don't know who they bring in. And if they do keep him, I think it'll be... My thought is if Yuki gets dropped from VCARB, does he go to Haas? Because I don't know who else would take him. Or does Yuki go to
him? I don't know why VCARB would drop him. He's performing. He's pulling them forward. If anything, they get rid of Danny.
They put Liam in.
But Yuki, you can't drop someone who's doing everything you're asking of them.
Yeah, sure you can.
You shouldn't.
You don't think we should.
You shouldn't.
But they can.
Of course, these teams do what they want.
If they think that a driver is going to take them further than he will in the long run, they'll drop him.
Which driver?
Liam.
So Yuki and Liam.
I think they'll keep Danny Rick. I think he has the brand awareness that they need. And we can disagree on that.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay.
Who else have we not talked about?
Oh, well, we forgot about when we were preparing for this. We forgot about Alpine completely.
we did. You know why?
Because they suck.
Because they suck.
Oh,
stop sucking.
What's terrifying is that Mercedes is 10 steps away from being Alpine, the new Alpine.
What a concept.
Wow. And anyway, so they have Pierre Gasly and Ocon up for grabs. I don't think Gasly's going to stay. My thought is Gasly might.
Where would Gasly go?
I think he could jump to Williams. I think he's I want to build a team around me. But he's not young. He's not a young gun anymore.
Albon and Gasly, both former Red Bull drivers, now at Williams.
It's worked for him with Albon.
Yeah.
Gasly's a great driver. He's not getting back to VCARB, and he's not.
Yeah, no,
they're not going to take him at Red Bull.
No,
so,
Red Bull's off. Yeah, really, the only place he could go would be a Williams.
Williams or Audi. Those are the only choices he has.
Now, Audi's already got Hulk, and they're trying to get signs. They're not going to do Hulk and Gasly.
Why not?
Because they want signs.
They want a big name. Sure. They want to come out big swinging.
Gasly's not a big name.
They want to come out big swinging. They also have the trashiest car on the field right now. So they're not necessarily attractive to a driver.
No.
So they took Hulkenberg from Haas. So it's not
their whole thing was, we want a German driver.
I want a German driver. Yeah, because okay. Yeah.
Because they're cheaper than other drivers, or what's the...
Yeah. And how'd that work out when Haas German sponsors wanted a German driver and they got Mick Schumacher? That's the other name that's been thrown out there. They think Mick Schumacher might go to Alpine. He's driving for them currently in a different series.
Dude, I don't see. I mean, I know he's always in the shot with Toto, and it's like, Mick Schumacher's here. He's like, our reserve driver Mercedes. I don't see that guy coming back.
I don't see him come back either.
He cut the cars in half at Haas when he signed for them. That guy cost them so much money. Like, I just don't see him making a return.
Nick.
We did it. You got a great name. Sorry, it didn't work out. Moving on.
Okay, so Red Bull, we're going with Max and Sainz.
Or Max and Liam.
Max, Sainz, or Liam. Audi, we're going with Hulk and...
Or Sainz.
Mercedes, we're going with Russell and Kimi. Williams, we're going with Albon and
Sarge. I mean, they'll re-up.
No, I think they'll go Bottas. I'd
love for Bottas to stay.
I'd love for Bottas to stay in. And he's actually the only one driving that car.
Or Gasly, you're saying potentially.
Yeah, maybe Gasly. But I think we'll see him back there. V-Carb, we have 2 open seats. I don't think they will keep Yuki. I think they'll drop Yuki when they drop Honda, and I think they'll keep Danny, and they'll put Liam in that car.
So where does Yuki go?
I think he goes nowhere. I think he's off the grid. It sucks, but I think that's what's going to happen. I think he'll be gone for a year, and then he'll come back into another team. My hope would be that he'd be gone for a year, and then Lance will finally retire, and Yuki will come back and drive for Aston Martin as a Honda driver, because Honda is hot to trot for their Japanese little daddy, Yuki.
Haas. Haas. He didn't go to Haas. I was just thinking about that, but they're going to take Behrman.
Yeah, Haas will be Behrman, and
unless they get rid of Mag and do Yuki Behrman, that's a possibility. That's a possibility. Mag's not scoring points. Yuki is.
Mm-hmm.
Mag's making messes and costing them money, and Behrman's obviously, got potential.
Alpine, I think they will try to retain Gasly. I don't know if Gasly will stay. Here's my thing for Alpine. I think it'll be Gasly and Jack Doohan. I think they'll bring their reserve driver up to drive.
And then Ocon's just gone.
Yep, Ocon's done.
He's done.
He's toast.
Good riddance. After today wasn't helping his case.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
It's a wild ride right now on the driver market.
There's so many things open.
Like almost every team has a seat open except for 3. Like it's wild.
Who sets it off? Is it
Sainz?
But there's talks of Max. People are holding off to see where Max, if he goes.
At this point, now that
you think it's just settled and he's going to stay?
Yeah, unless something crazy happens at over the summer.
The Horner thing still isn't resolved.
Yeah. The Horner thing is not resolved, but I don't think that picks up until October or November, and by that time it's the end of the season, and I don't see that happening. That's crazy, but yeah, it's going to be wild. It'll be when the Mercedes and the Red Bull seat are solidified. It will tighten everything else up very quickly.
Yes.
Because those are the things that are hot to trot right now.
Yeah, everybody's waiting.
Even though Mercedes is in no man's land, everyone is trying not to. Even the people that hate Mercedes are going, you can't bet against them in 2026.
Yeah.
So you'd be silly to bet against any works team in 2026 when they come out with their engine and their car, because they are going to be the ones that have the engine schematics and size and able to design their car around it before anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so we'll see when the Red Bull and the Mercedes seat are closed off, then we'll kick into high gear. But it's a wild ride this season.
We're in a new day for this season.
On. It was a boring race with a great conclusion, because
it was
fight on.
We are here. Ferrari is here. Chuck has won for the first time in 2 years.
Hey, come on, Chuck.
This is a new season. We're going to Canada, and there's 6 drivers. 5. Checo. 5 drivers.
5.5.
5 drivers that could win, which is incredible.
My goodness.
Great place to be in right now, because we were not in that place just at the beginning of the season.
Not even close. Hey, thanks for joining us this week as we recap the Monaco Grand Prix and talk to all things about the driver's market. Do us a favor and like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on, whether it's Spotify, iTunes, or YouTube. Go ahead and give us a like. Subscribe to our channel. It means the world to us. Also, if you're on Instagram, go ahead and follow. Send us a message. We'd love to chat F1 with anyone who wants to talk.
True.
And so we're here for it. Keep rolling.
See you, folks.